Shalom, guys. So I wanted to come out here, actually, Shabbat Shalom, it's Sabbath morning. I want to come out here and make this video because I had been off YouTube for a while, and I wanted to explain why I was off and what was going on with me, and it kind of parallels into something else that I want to talk about. I was off from YouTube for a while simply because, for one, I had some personal reflection time that I wanted to do. And then also, I was grieved because I had seen so much division within the Israelite community, I guess, if you will. And it bothered me, it grieved me, because I felt like our people, especially in America, we have this tendency to outcast anyone who is not on the majority side, who is not on the majority agreeing side. What I mean by that simply is that I hate when I see, Israelites, when they share different things, and if it's not exactly what someone else may believe or say or think, then, there's this outright attack on someone else's personal beliefs and understanding. And it's not about being right or wrong. Of course, we all are still learning and growing. There's not one person in this country that can say they've known about being a Hebrew. Hey, maybe some knew their whole life, but the majority of us have not known and do not know the customs because we did not grow up in the culture. It was removed from us, as everyone knows. So we're all still learning and growing, and there's going to be some trial and error here and there. There's going to be some expected growth periods. But what I don't like is that I feel like we're divided even more so within our own community over petty things, over silly petty things that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. I also hate when I see our Black Americans attacking our brothers and sisters back on the continent of Africa, and our continental African brothers and sisters, or not African, but Hebrew brothers and sisters on the continent of Africa. They're rebuttaling and trying to debunk and fighting against our people here in America. It's not good, you guys. It's not a good look. It's not good for me because I'm new to this too. Although I may have grown up with the understanding of the Sabbath and the understanding of keeping Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread as a child, I had no clue about a Hebrew Israelite. Not until 2016, really until 2015, but I didn't receive it until a year later. I rejected it offhand because I was still a Christian in my Christian mindset, and I couldn't fathom none of the things that I was hearing. But once I realized that what I was hearing was true and what I was believing was false, I quickly switched over. But anyway, it's only been a year and a half for me since I've been walking in this truth and in the knowledge of this truth and learning to, get my roots in this truth, come back to my culture. So I'm not perfect. I get things wrong here and there, and you may see me change some things up here and there. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not too prideful to be able to admit that I was wrong. I had it in error, and I'm changing it. I'm doing it right. Because it's not about being right with man. It's about being right with the Most High. But I definitely feel like when I see our people attack each other about what they perceive to be right from their perspective, it's disappointing. It's very grieving to me. My spirit is very sensitive to things like that, and it doesn't take well to things like that. So it's aggravating, and it's disappointing. And from the inside looking out, it's definitely not a good look. That's why you see so many people fleeing the Hebrew Israelite community, because we have people in here that are of the knowledge and truth, but are not walking in wisdom in the Ruach. And they're ruining people's lives, and they're damaging people's spirits and hearts and minds, and their people are fleeing. And it's sad to see that. There are a lot of people who do not even like to use the term Hebrew Israelite because of the negative connotations that has been placed upon it from our brothers and sisters who may or may not be intentionally or deliberately causing or leaving a bad taste in people's mouths. Yes, I know Hebrew is not the actual term in the language. That's just the corruption of Erve in English and whatnot. But, it is what it is. But there are a lot of people who do not even like to use that term to identify themselves as what they are, simply because of some misguided, misled, unwise non-Ruach having person who has ruined it and damaged and tainted the look and the name throughout the country, or throughout, I don't want to say the country, but throughout, I guess, the community or whatever. And then you got people who are, outside looking in, who may want to join in, who may say, you know what, I'm coming out this church thing, I want to join into the Hebrew Israelite thing, but because we have so many different doctrines that we are pushing, we can't seem to settle on or find out what exactly is what. And especially when it comes down to Esau, when it comes down to women in pants, when it comes down to women covering their heads, when it comes down to how to keep the feast days, if we should keep the feast days. I mean, if Negroes are Israelites, or if Negroes and others are Israelites. I mean, it's just so many different consensus out there that's confusing to me, and I feel like it's a plot of the enemy to have confusion. That's just me. But if the person does have a difference of opinion, is it our duty and our job to attack our brother and our sister? Absolutely not. If we feel like that person is in error, we are to go to them in love. And when I say love, of course, I'm not meaning, um, something that's, permissive and weak and timid. Yes, have boldness and compassion in your compassion, but we don't attack each other and jump down each other's throats. And that's what I don't like, because a lot of people seem to do that, and it just makes me feel like this is a false so-called brotherhood or sisterhood. Makes me definitely not want to be a part of it, because we just can't seem to get it together. And I remember there's a time period where I saw a picture of back in the 40s in Morocco, when Jews and Muslims lived side by side and was walking side by side. Now, I'm sure they disagreed on a lot of different things in their faith, but they were living in peace. And I don't even know how we, being of the same bloodstock here in America, coming from the majority of us coming from the same history of having slaves as our ancestors, and going through the same trauma, whether or not your ancestors were slaves or not, going through the same trauma of being black in America and dealing with those woes and persecutions, we cannot even seem to come together and agree on anything. But yet, two people who have two different stories, with two different doctrines and two different faiths and beliefs, can come together, though although similar, but can come together and live in peace side by side. And we can't even live in the same block without fighting somebody. And we so caught in the truth. We want to debate and debunk all the time, as if that was our purpose, when Yah created us to debate and debunk. The purpose of us is to have knowledge for ourselves and understanding, share it with others, but most importantly, live a holy life set apart, keeping His commandments, laws, statutes, and customs. And then we got our people here, some of our people here, rebuking our people back on the continent of Africa, as if the majority of the Israelites are not still in Africa. The 10 tribes are still in Africa. Only Judah was dispersed around the four corners of the earth. And when I say Judah, I'm not meaning specifically just the seed of Judah. I mean the kingdom of Judah as well. So I believe there is some Benjamin and possibly some Levi. Somebody may disagree with me on that, but I don't really care at this point, because I am tired of the confusion and the division. And I will not allow someone to try and bully me in my comment section or wherever because they don't like what I say. My sister told me when I was telling her about this, talking to her about how these people can be Israelite pirates, as I like to call them. She was telling me months ago that she was going to pray that the Most High make me bold, because He made her bold in her attacks. She was getting attacked by Israelites, so-called Israelites, who were claiming the name but didn't have the identity really in their spirit or in their heart. And they were sending her death threats. And she said that I'm going to pray that the Most High make you bold in this area as He made her bold. And He's definitely doing that, sis. And if you hear this, you know exactly who you are. I hope and pray you know exactly who you are if you remember our conversation. But I'm getting bold. And the thing about it, it's not that I'm not already bold, but I don't like to get to that person, because I know once I get to that person, I don't have the same mindset or compassion or grace or temperaments as I would have had if I was trying to be patient with you. And I don't like being that person a lot of times, because I try to be nice and I try to be compassionate. But anyway, some people just don't know how to receive that. But the bottom line is that last night I was watching two videos, and they both kind of clarified something for me and reminded me of something, because I was so confused as to why is it that our people in Africa and our people in America can't seem to get along. There are some of us who do, but there's also a majority of us, or others of us, that don't. And I don't understand that. I couldn't understand that. Both of the videos were explaining to me reminding me in the scriptures that when the kingdom split, north and south, Israel and Judah, and Jeroboam and Rehoboam became the kings. Rehoboam became the king of Israel, I believe, after Solomon died, his father. And then Jeroboam was king of Judah. I might have that backwards, but you guys, if you know the scriptures, you know what I'm talking about. There was a split and divide between the kingdoms and between the people, the tribes, the 10 tribes versus the 2, or so forth. And they both were reminding me today last night, that that's still going on. That divide, that dysfunction between us, between the north and south kingdoms, northern and southern kingdoms, are still going on. And it's very clear because you can see that with the northern kingdoms in Africa fighting and debunking, or fighting to prove their stance and their relevancy and their truth in being an Israelite, against the southern kingdom over here, Judah and Benjamin. And I think it's silly. I think it needs to stop. I don't know when or if or how it's going to stop. It might just be when the Messiah returns, Yah forbid, but hey, it might just be. But our people have always been divided and fighting against each other. We have a history of that. And I feel like, how can we demand respect from others, from Gentiles, when we don't even respect each other? How can we expect to be lifted up and raised up as a nation, as a people, and want people to kiss our feet, as some say, and lick the dust off our feet, and and bow down and worship us, and all this other stuff they say, some say? How is it that we can expect all that, but we can't even treat our own people right? Who's going to really look at that and say, you know what, they deserve to be treated royalty? I know who we are, but at the end of the day, really, let's be realistic. How can a kingdom that's divided stand? And I just think it's a pity and it's a shame. And there was a brother I was watching, he said that our righteousness as Israelites have to exceed the righteousness of the non-Israelites, those who are faking to be Jews. We got a lot of work to do. We far off from that. Myself included, I'm working every day to make sure that I keep myself in prayer and fasting, and that's why I pull away a lot, because I have to do that. I'm still in my gardening and growing my fruits and my vegetables. And I transplanted my zucchinis yesterday into a pot. Well, not yesterday, last Tuesday, into a pot. And it's been very therapeutic for me. But I still have to get away sometimes. I have to pray and I have to fast, because my spirit gets grieved on things like this. It's very aggravating to me to see our people walking around with such an arrogant attitude and a know-it-all attitude over here. Not all of us, but some of us, we have such a high, pompous, holier-than-thou, self-righteous attitude where we know so much in our knowledge. And I commend you all who have put in the work and the labor to study. But now you have to take wisdom and apply it so that you can share with others and people will receive it. If you're beating people over the head with what you have as your knowledge, then no one's going to receive it. Not even your people who are walking in the same truth as you. If we who are the same knowledge of you, of what of being an Israelite, if we don't even receive it, how in the world do you think someone come out the church is going to receive it? It's not going to happen. We have to be a united force, a strong force. We have to give the world something to look at that says, hey, I admire that. I want to be like that. Not when they look at us and we cussing each other out, we yelling and screaming, we can't seem to settle on one consensus. And if we have different consensuses, we are disrespecting and rebuking each other in the wrong vein, in the wrong spirit. And it's not just because a person is wrong or maybe have it differently. It's because they're different from what you believe to be true. We got to put forth our best foot. Our righteousness have to exceed the righteousness of the others. And that goes, I believe, in general, for even Israelites who have not come into this truth yet. We got to do better, guys. So that's why I pulled away. That's why I stopped posting, because I didn't really have much to say. I wasn't getting much to say that I wanted to share. I have a video that I did last night. Well, actually, I edited last night that I filmed a couple of months ago. And I plan to post that. Tried to do it last night, but my computer restarted on me and messed up my whole process. So I said, forget it, I'll do it today or later this evening. But anyway, I didn't have much to say other than this, and I didn't want to come up here and say this because I feel like I don't want to be whining about the same thing or fussing and, I'm thinking, just let it go, move on, get over it. But I'm like, no, I have to share how I feel because it's not good. I redid this video. This is my second time doing it. And I pray whoever see this that, if if you are pricked in your spirit the same way, I pray that you will take this message and run with it. But I'll leave that there, and I'll see you guys in the next video, and I'll say Shabbat Shalom.